LA is about to start getting lit on fire soon. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about this. LAPD is collaborating with ICE. This is outside of Ambience Factory. Another clear example, the LAPD and the city of Los Angeles collaborating with ICE, proving that the sanctuary city was always bullshit. Mayor of LA Silence supports this. Apparently, Homeland Security and ICE is raiding a downtown Los Angeles warehouse right now. They've locked the doors and holding the employees inside. This is straight up Gestapo shit. Breaking, the president of California's largest union has been detained during an ICE raid. The SEIU California president David Huerta injured, detained at ICE raid in Los Angeles. What the f? Mayor Karen Bass says, we will not stand for this. This morning, we received reports of federal immigration enforcement actions in multiple locations in Los Angeles. The mayor of a proud city of immigrants who always contributes to the city in so many ways. I am deeply angered by what has taken place. Okay, why the f did the LAPD also do a perimeter outside of the ICE enforcement action? Like, you're the mayor, Mayor Karen Bass. You have control over your goons. LA emergency protests from the Community Self-Defense Coalition Stop Deportations Now. ICE has hundreds of members of our community kidnapped and is holding them at this location. What the f is happening, bro? What the f? This is my backyard. Jesus, Lord mercy. FBI riot team is out in the streets of Los Angeles and getting pushed out by community on the ground. I can't even go down there today because my live stream backpack got canceled.
Out here. Back to you.
Man, I have to get it. I have to reopen an account. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
But what we want to point out here is how these officers are now leaving. The ATF officers are very slowly moving, and you'll notice that some on the ground are trying to get the people to move out of the way. We have a piece of video that showed the vans as they were departing with some of the people that had been detained in those vans, and it was a very different scene. You can see that they've gotten the people.
Holy sh! This is f***ing madness, dude. Jesus Christ. The Gestapo is out and about. Especially, where in LA is this? Is downtown Los Angeles. Downtown Los Angeles. This is a crazy place to do this because California is a state that has a shit ton of immigrants in it and a shit ton of undocumented immigrants in it as well. And it's supposed to be a sanctuary state. And Los Angeles is supposed to be a sanctuary city. So not only will the people of Los Angeles not fuck around with this, and they'll definitely get very, very mad about this, but also on top of that, like the state government and the local government is supposed to protect these people. What the f?
Stay on the sidewalk, please. Stay on the sidewalk.
Earlier today, Stephen Miller let out a notice to ICE and Homeland Security and Customs and Border Patrol to 5x their apprehension numbers, by the way. This is the result of that. And obviously, because all of the actual criminal migrants were already being prosecuted by the previous administration, as I told you, the only people that they can actually get are non-criminal migrants that are waiting for asylum. And another way to try and boost those numbers and continue mass deportations is trying to have people with asylum cases that are already on the court docket come into the courts and then apprehend them at the hallways of the courts. Like, they bring people in and they're like, oh, here's your regular court order date. And they go into the court. They talk to the judge, they walk outside, and they get apprehended. They're honeypotting people who are lawfully cooperating with the federal government. They did this with Mohsen Mahdawi as well, if you remember, where he was a green card holder who went into a naturalization ceremony where they fucking kidnapped him. So he wasn't even like an undocumented migrant and an asylum seeker with like the proper documentation waiting for his application to be fulfilled, which again is legal. This kind of enforcement is not done to stop crime, is my argument, is my point. This kind of enforcement is done specifically to engage in a white nativist, anti-immigrant propaganda operation. This is, one, federal overreach of epic magnitude. going into a sanctuary state and going into a sanctuary city where no one in California, people in California yell about the crime all the time, but no one in California talks about undocumented migrants. People in California do not point to undocumented migrants and say, this is insane, we have to do something about it. As a matter of fact, it's one of the greatest examples that I always use all the time. Like, people will make a big fuss about undocumented migrants in Texas, but there's more undocumented migrants in the state of California, and yet no one ever complains about it because it is a part of our communities. Undocumented and documented migrants are a big part of our community. It is a part of the social fabric in Los Angeles. It's a social fabric and a part of the California culture. They are workers that pay taxes. They're just trying to make a living. They're not doing anything to anyone. They're not disrupting anything. And yet now the federal government has decided that they're going to do this anyway. And here we are, a tremendous amount of resistance and a tremendous amount of resentment born out of this kind of illegal enforcement, this ridiculous action. Our leadership needs to step in. This is the reason why people vote Democrat, to step in times like this, so that there are sanctuary city protections. It is ridiculous. The fact that Los Angeles Police Department was offering cover for ICE and federal law enforcement to engage in this dragnet operation at a fucking warehouse is completely unacceptable. I can't believe it. This is pure and utter fascism in full display. Make up a fake problem. Undocumented migrants are responsible for crime. And then in the process of fixing the fake problem that you made up, that you really whipped up a frenzy around, you go and you hurt regular ass people, normal ass people. You're just your neighbors. You know what I mean? People that are not causing harm to anybody, while simultaneously claiming that you are doing this because you have to go after criminals. Okay, why are you deporting 4-year-old cancer patients then? Why are you deporting mothers? Why are you going to a warehouse where people are working during the workday to do a dragnet operation and apprehend as many people as you possibly can? Why? Are those the criminals? And it's not happening for any good reason other than the fact that the Republicans have successfully dehumanized entire swaths of the American population. Make no mistake, a lot of these dudes that they're apprehending are already either A, waiting for their court date, and they have the legal allowance to be inside of US borders. They are simply waiting for their court date so they can get processed or have actual visas, temporary work orders. They are allowed to be here. They're allowed to work. It's the administration that magically removes that dial or turns it in the other direction and says, nah, you're illegal now. You're an illegal alien. We have revoked your protection. Do you understand? When someone says illegal alien, there is an image in the back of people's minds, a racist one for the most part. This idea that like some MS-13 tatted up gang member secretly hopped over the border, right? And came in with a bunch of drugs, maybe like kidnapped people, did a bunch of crimes. That's not how it is. Here, if you want to understand like how little this has anything to do with criminality, look at this. Trump's masked ICE Gestapo snatches a woman when her lawyer goes to the bathroom, then forcibly carries her into an elevator after she appears to faint. They wait when someone is at an immigration court proceeding. They're in the hallway. ICE comes in, apprehends the person in the hallway when they notice that her lawyer is in the bathroom.
Hold on, let's get her lawyer.
Her lawyer's in the bathroom. That's why they're taking her now. You wait until her lawyer leaves. Seriously, her lawyer's in the bathroom. I'm recording this.
Mask agents, by the way. It's illegal now for you to wear a mask when you're at a protest or just in general, even if you want to mask up for other safety or your own privacy. But also, like, again, for health reasons, right? You don't want to be a super spreader or whatever. That's illegal. But cops, they can wear masks to hide and protect their identities. Interesting. Public servants wearing masks to hide their identities. Why has this become such a common meta, you think? It's become a common meta because they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing is Nazi shit. They know that there is going to be repercussions for this kind of behavior. It should be illegal for the cops to wear masks while they're in the process of doing cop shit. We pay these people's salaries. What do you mean? They get to just like apprehend people at their court proceedings.
Her lawyer's in the bathroom. Hey, Kate, they're taking your client. Kate, they're taking your client. She's fainting, Kate.
Can I go in the bathroom?
She's a female. Yes, you're allowed to go in the bathroom. Dude, she's fainting on the hallway. Wait until get medical.
No, no, no.
You can't. You want a medical? You can't transport her.
You need to leave her.
Get medical services. Come on.
No, no.
Hey, quit. You can't.
This can lead to random ass people pretending to be cops. It already has. A bunch of white supremacists have also been deputized, according to eyewitness testimony so far in other parts of the country. They don't have enough manpower to do this kind of shit to begin with the police force that already exists. Even though the police force that already exists is pretty fucking large, trying to do mass deportations of 20 million people, Gestapo style, like Nazi Germany style, requires an endless amount of support. They have to deputize people or use the military or use the National Guard. That's what the federal government is trying to do.
You can't manhandle her into an elevator. You're manhandling her into an elevator. You're manhandling her into an elevator, dude. Her lawyer's in the bathroom.
Is there someone that knows the legal ramifications of intervening on this? Oh, there is nothing. Like, I mean, you will also go to jail. They'll probably release you or you'll get obstruction of justice charges. The only way to stop this is with overwhelming numbers. When there are like a lot of people, like too many people, and the cops feel unsafe, I guess, to conduct their activities like this, only then have I ever seen police officers back away. There are images from Minneapolis and even parts of San Diego, or even what you're seeing right now. This kind of mobilization, like mass community mobilization, protecting one another when our institutions won't protect us, is the only way to disrupt these sorts of illegal and unjustifiable, unconscionable acts that the federal government is entertaining and engaging in. And of course, given the way that this administration is actively trying to criminalize speech, I'm certain that even me saying this one day could be presented as illegal. Oh, Hasan is urging people to do something illegal. It's like, no, people have a right to engage in civil disobedience. And there are unjustifiable acts that the state engages in that people have every right to resist against. If you look at our history with chattel slavery and the defense of chattel slavery, if you look at our history with the civil rights struggle, and you understand that brave individuals that found these actions, these legal actions by the state to be unconscionable and took matters into their own hands and protested against these kinds of actions and disrupted these kinds of illegal and unjustifiable actions, if you find those people to be in the right historically, then you can understand where we're at right now as well. This is inhumane, right? You're ripping people away from their day-to-day existence for no reason other than the fact that you want them out of the country, right? By lying about their background, saying that they're criminals and dehumanizing them in the exact same way that Nazis did with Jews, socialists, communists, and using the same process to basically rip them away from their communities, away from their families, away from their loved ones, away from their place of work, because that's what the Nazis did as well. It was a process of denaturalization. Jews were no longer considered citizens of the state after the race laws. Same with socialists and communists that were also sent to these concentration camps. They were considered no longer individuals of the state. They were actively dehumanized against, and then simultaneously, through the legal process, they became non-citizens. And you can do whatever you want to non-citizens in the, at the time. And clearly, that's what this administration is trying to do as well. So even the mechanisms of the state are damn near identical. And I do not think that this will stop with just undocumented migrants. Why do you need fascism in a country like the US? Both parties are already puppets of capitalists. Great question. It's because when both parties are still puppets of capitalists and capital owners, there is still a lot of instability born out of the contradictions worsening. There's still a lot of economic volatility, economic instability, and people get angry, they get restless, and one party at the very least, has to redirect that attention and redirect that anger and resentment towards more vulnerable populations in an effort to keep things going. Because if people don't actually decide that undocumented migrants or like trans people or all these like vulnerable, defenseless populations are actually responsible for all the awful things that they're experiencing, they might actually catch wind of who is really responsible for the destruction of their living standards. It's that simple. Like, you might ask yourself that same exact question with Nazi Germany. You know, why did they do this? Well, there was tremendous economic instability, and there was a growing momentum of communism, trade unionism, socialism in the country at a time of unprecedented economic volatility in the aftermath of World War I and the damage that that caused. And one group quickly seized on this and redirected that enmity towards social groups that were both simultaneously incredibly powerful and also incredibly weak and dangerous. And those groups ended up seizing all of the power while directly collaborating with liberals in power and also with capital owners that wanted to maintain that same hierarchy. They wanted to maintain their same standards of profit. They wanted to continue the way that the system was going. They were more fearful of a workers' revolt or revolution than they were of some kind of fascist control, because fascist control would mean, yeah, sure, a lot of people get killed in the process, but I'm fine. I'm a business owner and I get to maintain my profits. If profits are the highest order of priority for you, you don't care what happens to other people. You don't care what happens to workers. You don't care what happens to workers that become non-citizens in the process, as long as those workers don't actually eat away at your profit margins. One reason people in the US don't see fascism creeping is because they can't imagine that something this bad could happen here. Denial is a powerful thing until it's too late. I think that plays a role in this for sure. There's also a lot of people who just simply are like, American entitlement, American exceptionalism, American individualism are such powerful forces, such powerful cultural forces in this country that a lot of people genuinely don't understand how this will inevitably impact them. Even for selfish reasons, even if you can't recognize the humanity of these people being ripped apart, you can at the very least recognize that, like, when this kind of instability takes root, who's going to fucking pick the fruit? You can think about it in an incredibly selfish way like that. But even then, Americans have no capacity to recognize that, right? Because they're too stupid. But then also, in the long term, these kinds of violent enforcement actions will inevitably creep its way into your life as well. It will happen to someone that you love, a neighbor, an immediate family member, a loved one. This is an unstoppable force. It does not go away. Fascism is like a ticking time bomb where you either try to stop it dead in its tracks at its inception, or once enough instability and enough violence has taken root in society that the dam breaks and everyone engages in popular mobilization. And the problem is, the longer you wait to stop these kinds of actions, to stop fascism from growing, the harder it will be to resist against it, and the death toll will be far larger. Civil disobedience and protests are the actual most peaceful ways of resisting against these kind of fascist actions. Violence in retaliation against this sort of thing is inevitable. When it reaches a certain boiling point, people are inevitably going to say, "Well, fuck you. You've killed my family, or you've arrested and sent a loved one to a slave labor colony." That's unacceptable. It will build too much resentment. In America, the mechanism of control has always been commodity consumption, and also the pressure valve of the 2-year period of the democratic process. The idea that you have a say, the idea that your voice matters, the idea that, like, you can actually enact marginal change by voting for one party over the next. But when people recognize that that pressure valve is not real, it's just aesthetic, and that authoritarianism which is something that Americans don't actually like when it's directed like this, when it's directional in this way, when you know, Gestapo time takes place, when it's happening in broad daylight, then people will inevitably take up action against these sorts of government interventions.
Lindsay, thank you. And from the ground to the air, let's go to Gil Labus over downtown LA in Sky 5.
If the Democrats don't actually even do a little bit of the bare minimum protections for its constituents here, there is no reason for them to exist. It's completely over. This is, I know I've said this already time and time again, and I will probably repeat myself quite frequently, but fascism is here. And I don't mean like, oh, you say everything is fascism. Like, this is the historic fascist policies that we know and we dislike. We have seen it. We have seen this happen throughout history. This is the moment of truth. Do liberals completely capitulate? Which I think they are. They have so far. But we've officially crossed the Rubicon, and we're now at an impasse. Does the administration get away with it? Or do they get away with it with at least ample resistance from the Democrats, like protections from the Democrats?
Cher and Micah, this is the small group that Lindsay was just talking.
What can they do, Law? Are you kidding me? California as a state is a nation state in and of itself whose economy is like the 5th largest economy on the planet. California has an army. California as a nation state is profoundly important to the American to the American nation. It's the 4th largest. I'm sorry. It's not even the 5th largest. It is the 4th largest. California as a state is the 4th largest nation state economy on the planet. Just the state alone. Do you know how incredible that is? Do you know how much power Governor Newsom has? It is a sanctuary state. It's supposed to be a sanctuary state. Like this and abortion protections and like, you know, queer protections and stuff like that are the last good things that this goddamn state has to offer. That's the whole point of California. That's the whole point of California, is that like it's a massive nation. It's a massive state that has a massive economy that contributes so much to the rest of the world, but specifically to the rest of the United States of America. It is supposed to protect migrants. No real Californian would ever turn around and make a big fuss about undocumented migrants at all. This is a border state that has more undocumented migrants and documented migrants in it than Texas. And yet it's never a talking point. It's never been a talking point. Oh, we're full. California's full. We have too much. We have too many people. That is not the California way at all. People don't even entertain that notion here. Like, yes, the average Californian is unironically a Hitlerite when it comes to homelessness, and crime panic narratives are very, very popular here, for sure. A lot of that is born out of the unaffordable housing and the housing crisis that exists within the state that Gavin Newsom refuses to fucking deal with because he is firmly invested in the same corporate benefactors that pump the Republican Party at the national level, the real estate developers and the like. Having said that, however, when it comes to undocumented migrants, Californians do not have that same reactionary attitude that Texans do. This is a state that became the 4th largest economy on the planet as a standalone state with migrant labor. To be real, it's always been a point of complaint for Orange County. California is not a complete monolith. Yes, the reactionary enclaves exist. It doesn't change the overarching attitudes in California. It's like saying, okay, well, in Santee, people actually hate migrants. Yeah, I know. It's Clanty for a reason. It's called Clanty for a fucking reason. I know.
Dressed for war, clutching onto armored vehicles through the streets of Los Angeles. It's images like these that are striking fear into migrant communities across America, where an already zealous immigration department known as ICE has been instructed to ramp up their raids and are doing so with enthusiasm. On Tuesday, 2,200 people were arrested, a record high. Protests against the treatment of migrants took place outside detention centres, with one gathering turning violent. Elsewhere, demonstrators criticised the arbitrary nature of the arrests.
Our community is under attack and is being terrorized.
Yeah, the World Cup is next year, by the way, is so crazy to me because now we also have implemented this this silly ass like Muslim ban 2.0, not even just Muslim ban, but just like every country that America dominates ban 2.0 from all around the world. We got the Olympics, we got the World Cup. Like, none of this makes sense. U.S. tourism has taken a goddamn nosedive in the process. It's crazy.
These are workers. These are fathers. These are.
I don't know why history has to repeat itself, by the way, this aggressively. It's like Germany had the Olympics in 38. I know. Why does history have to repeat itself in this incredibly blunt manner? It's so crazy. Or 36, not 38. It doesn't make sense how people can't understand it. It's like bludgeoning them in the head. It's right in front of them. Why did you learn anything? Why did you learn anything in school if you're not going to apply it to your current living standards right now?
Our mothers. And this has to stop.
The record total comes after instruction from the White House demanding that ICE arrest 3,000 people a day, even without warrants. But the approach has been criticised for denying basic legal rights.
They just told us right now that they're suspending all attorney visits, so they're denying access to us attorneys who are here to represent.
Also illegal, by the way. Everything they're doing is illegal. The fact that they're able to do this and operate like this in the state of California is insane to me. You are the state of California. Use the National Guard against the ICE agents, if that's what it takes, to force the lawyers to go in to these facilities. Like, the ICE can't do this. They don't have this kind of power. What are we doing? And if it's might is right, if might is right politics is what's happening, then show your might.